Today we have a 288-core CPU, Intel's releasing X3D chips, official Xbox refresh consoles, and a Ryzen 9000 CPU with RX 9000 GPU powers this. Welcome everyone to Gamer Meld. First up for today, during Intel's Innovation 2023 event, the company announced a number of new products, starting with an absolute monster of a CPU. If you remember a little while back, Intel detailed a 144-core chip based on their Sierra Forest architecture. Well, they've now announced a CPU with two 144-core chiplets combined into one for a whopping 288-core monster. And if you love learning about next-generation CPU technology, make sure you subscribe to Gamer Meld. Now, what's interesting about this CPU is that it's based on an all-E-core design. Think of AMD's recently released Bergamo CPU that's built using their Zen 4C cores. Unlike Bergamo though, Intel's E-cores don't have hyperthreading, so this 288-core CPU also uses 288 threads. That's even more than AMD's 256-thread Bergamo, and don't forget that it's ultimately a 128-core, 256-thread CPU. Remember that multi-threading doesn't provide as much performance as a physical core, so Intel's part is definitely impressive. Of course, you will notice that we're talking about chiplets here, so I guess we can say that Intel has even more glued together CPUs. Either way, the new monster chip is expected sometime next year. Not only that, but Intel confirmed that their 5th generation Xeon Emerald Rapids is set for release December 14th of this year. Next up for today, Intel just admitted that they're planning to use 3D stacked cache like AMD. But before I get to that, learn about computers the way I do with today's sponsor, Brilliant, the online learning platform that I personally use to learn everything from how computer memory works to even things like quantum computing or AI. It's the best place to learn all of that because they were made specifically to teach the STEM field. And that's not even the best part. Instead of memorizing a bunch of crap or sitting through boring lectures, Brilliant teaches you by having you do it yourself. And what's really cool is that they teach you with these engaging, interesting puzzles that actually make learning fun. Plus, there's a ton of courses for everyone, whether you're a beginner or a professional. And get this, when you visit my link at brilliant.org/gamermeld, you'll get to try it out for 30 days free. So there's no reason not to try. Plus, when you decide to get it, you'll get 20% off the premium for life. But you've got to sign up at brilliant.org/gamermeld to get it. Now back to the story. During a Q&A session with Intel's own CEO, Pat Gelsinger, he was asked if Intel planned to adopt their own version of stacked cache similar to AMD's 3D V-cache. And in his response, he stated, quote, "When you reference V-cache, you're talking about a very specific technology that TSMC does with some of its customers as well. Obviously, we're doing that differently in our own composition, right? And that particular type of technology isn't something that's part of Meteor Lake, but in our roadmap, you're seeing the idea of 3D silicon where we'll have cache on one die, and we'll have CPU compute on the stacked die on top of it, and obviously using EMIB that Favros will be able to compose different capabilities." He then goes on to explain that he feels very good about the advantages of 3D die stacking for little dies as well as server and AI chips. Basically, it seems pretty clear that Intel plans to utilize a similar 3D stacked cache as AMD, and it even sounds like they plan to use it on desktop CPUs, especially when he mentions little dies alongside server and AI chips. So we could soon see 3D stacked Intel chips made specifically for gaming, similar to AMD's X3D chips. And next up, we have a massive official leak on two new Xbox refresh consoles, as well as their next generation. Starting things off, the story was revealed thanks to internal documents and emails from the FTC v Microsoft legal case, which is why I'm calling this one official, because it comes from actual Microsoft documents. First up, we have an Xbox Series S refresh codenamed Elwood. As you can see, it keeps the same design as the Xbox Series S, but it includes a new I/O, Wi-Fi 6E, BT 5.2 radio, more internal storage, as well as a focus on low power, including a low power mode that apparently uses just 20% of the current Xbox's low power mode. This model also stays at the same $299 price. Next, we have the Xbox Series X refresh, codenamed Brooklyn, and this one comes with all the same features as the Series S refresh, from Wi-Fi 6E to a new low power standby mode, but it also gets 2 TB of internal storage, reduced PSU power, a new USB Type-C connector on the front as well as a 6nm die shrink, and it comes at the same $499 price point. Sadly, it doesn't include a disc reader, so it's yet another push to go completely digital. Both the S and X refresh also come with a new controller that comes with a swappable rechargeable battery, built-in accelerometer, and new haptics. Ultimately, these aren't the worst of refreshes, though I have no clue what Microsoft plans to do for those who actually bought their games on discs. And lastly for today, there's one more massive leak that comes from the FTC v Microsoft case that's said to make next gen very interesting. As you can see, the slide is about their next generation Xbox console, and starting things off, Microsoft is apparently debating between using ARM or AMD's Zen 6 CPU. Not only that, but it mentions a big little CPU core architecture, which definitely makes me think AMD is planning a big little design after Zen 5. Next, you can see they're planning to use AMD's Navi 5 GPU, meaning this bad boy would come with a Ryzen 9000 CPU and an RX 9000 GPU. Of course, it wouldn't be released for quite some time, but talk about a beast of a console. And it actually gets even more interesting, because it mentions up top a next generation hybrid game platform capable of, quote, leveraging the combined power of the client and cloud, so they can, quote, enable new levels of performance beyond the capabilities of the client hardware alone. Meaning Microsoft isn't planning to go full cloud gaming, but instead to use the cloud for added performance you couldn't get with your hardware alone. And I think that may be an interesting middle ground, because it could mean if you don't have fast enough internet, you can still play the game, just at lower quality settings. But if you do have it, you can get the better fidelity. Either way, next gen is shaping up to be a very interesting release. So while that does it for today, what do you think about Microsoft's next generation? And is Intel about to pounce with X3D? Let me know down in the comments below. And don't forget to try out Brilliant for free in the description below. And as always, have a great day!